Welcome back. Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com, joins us now. And Mike, all signs point to Jayden Daniels being the Heisman Trophy winner, which would be the second one in 4 years for the Tigers. Now, I know this was not their best season at 9-3. They lost to the three best teams that they played. But how much would this kind of buoy Brian Kelly in the program heading into the offseason if this does, in fact, happen?
I don't know that it well, look, it's anytime you have a Heisman Trophy winner, it's great for your program. It shows other recruits out there what's possible. LSU's in it for a 5-star quarterback, Bryce Underwood, for the class of 25, who's going to make a decision January 6th. So, I mean, look, all this stuff plays with each other. I mean, you got to believe that part of the reason why a lot of recruits that have come LSU's way since 2019 are because of what they saw. But it is a big deal. But I'll also say it's, we're going to look back on this season and we're 8-10 years from now where you're like, boy, what could have been had LSU just had a mediocre defense? Because I think if LSU had a mediocre defense, this team is undefeated right now.
Mike, for you, is it Jayden Daniels or bust as far as the Heisman, or do you think there's still a chance? Or who would you say is the best competition? Would it be Michael Penix in terms of the argument for the Heisman Trophy winner?
I think it's Penix, and that's mainly because of winning that championship game. You guys might think differently, but I just kind of wonder, really when you look at what Jayden Daniels did throughout the season, did it really come down to needing Bo Nix to lose for his team to lose in the Pac-12 championship game in order for it to end up in Jayden Daniels' lap? Having seen him and know how valuable he is to LSU, and it's not just this year. I know we all talk about what the difference between Jayden Daniels this year and last year, but I maintain that LSU doesn't have half the wins they had last season without Jayden Daniels. He's basically, look, I get it. There's Malik Neighbors and so forth and Brian Thomas and now a stout offensive line. But Jayden Daniels is the one that's made it go. And now he's just a complete package. And I never thought I wondered if I'd ever see a Heisman Trophy winner in my lifetime. And now we'll have seen two of them in a short period of time.
So, Mike, what is the plan to fix the defense?
Well, that's kind of what we're wondering is going to take place. We've had heated arguments on our shows. I could see where Brian Kelly might say, look, Matt House is missing a whole lot of Jims and Joes. His defensive line coach was hospitalized the day before the first day of fall camp. Greg Brooks and his situation and the brain tumor, and that was going to be your absolute team leader on the back end of that defense. Multiple injuries at corner, couple of transfer portal kids that didn't pan out, end up being cancers, and of course Denver Harris was one of those, and you knew that was a real possibility based on what he did at A&M. And you can also, in Matt House's defense, say he didn't hire any of the assistant coaches on his side of the ball. They were all there when he arrived from Kansas City. So I tend to think maybe from a perception standpoint, he's going to clean house, but I don't know that for sure. Does he do one or two things before the bowl game? Does it all happen after the bowl game? And is it a situation where all of a sudden nobody actually gets fired, but they find jobs elsewhere, if you get my drift?
Yeah, for sure. Transfer portal wise, it's for everybody. They're losing players, they're gaining players. What's kind of LSU's, I guess, point of attack here when it comes to this offseason, the transfer portal, and what are they kind of looking at in terms of additions and subtractions in your mind? I
think need multiple defensive backs, one or two cornerbacks, maybe a safety. Absolutely have to have a transfer portal quarterback in my mind. Not somebody to compete against Nussmeier, but definitely a capable backup. You don't want to go into next season, and we're going to find out. I doubt Jayden Daniels is going to participate in the bowl game. So Nussmeier is likely going to be your starter against Wisconsin. So you're kind of going to get a real idea of how that might play out for next season, a preview. But you don't want to go into next season where if something happens to him, the next man up is a redshirt freshman. And the number 3 quarterback is actually 16 years old. Colin Hurley is graduating a year early, who's going to be LSU's quarterback signee in a few weeks. So I think a quarterback, might they take a transfer portal running back? That's kind of iffy. I think they would like to have another really good wide receiver. And then other than that, if someone's really good there in a position that really makes you better, maybe they would go there. But I don't know if the portal class is as big as you need, but I really think the biggest need position is defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman. As much as the DBs have gotten roasted at LSU, I think the defensive front is the biggest question mark. I don't see them convincing Mekhi Wingo to come back for another year. And I think they need at least one bona fide starter from the transfer portal up front. And, we start seeing guys like Walter Nolan get in the portal and some of the dollar amounts I've heard for top-flight defensive tackles. We're going to see how serious LSU is with NIL money in a hurry.
Well, Mike, you might have made Garrett, our producer and huge LSU fan, a little apoplectic when you said maybe on a running back. He really was hoping that they might be able to bring Trevor Etienne home. Do you think that's a reality at all?
That I don't know. Look, LSU's really gifted at running back, but you don't know whether Logan Diggs or Josh Williams are both just going to go ahead and call it a day. If Josh Williams comes back, I don't think they go and get a running back. But if both of them decide not to return, I think maybe you would go out and try and get one, whether it's Etienne or somebody else. I don't know. The fact that Etienne's getting in the portal, one of my Florida sources says that his older brother's kind of been in his ear for a while. Does that mean he's going to end up at Clemson? I don't know.
Oh, God, I hope not. I was hoping as a Florida State fan that we were kind of done with that family when he left Florida myself. So, Mike, overall assessment of Brian Kelly through a couple years from you, and how do the LSU fans feel about him moving forward?
Look, I think we all have to step back and realize he'd inherited 38 scholarship players of that from Ed Orgeron. It was an absolute mess. Some really bad recruiting classes. There's one or two recruiting classes there at the end of Orgeron that almost nobody is left in the program from. And so what happened last year, and that's a big part of Jayden Daniels, even though this is the year he's going to win the Heisman, to get to the SEC championship in year one, I don't want to say it was fool's gold, but a lot of it has been done with smoke and mirrors, and they've got to get the defense right. And look, so now you're going to go into next year without Jayden Daniels, without Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, and others, and still a ton of questions. We're going to see how many new defensive coaches, if not all of them, are going to be there. And then you add UCLA, USC, and Oklahoma to the schedule on top of your SEC tilt. So it's not going to be easy next season.
Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com. Mike, always great to have you. Have a great weekend, buddy.
All right, y'all too. Have a great weekend. Talk soon.
All right. That's Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com. Garrett, are you did that kind of